Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Heritage Board meeting, Monday, December 4th, and it's 4:02. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do I have any declaration of conflicts today? Okay, seeing none. Can I have an approval of the agenda from Monday, December the 4th? Okay, moved by Ken McGinnis. Okay, seconded by Tara Maloney. All those in favor? Okay, and Councilor McCabe, you're in favor? Yeah, great. Great, thank you, that's unanimous. And any business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move right on to our reports.
The minutes first.
Oh, did I miss the minutes again? Mercy. Approval of the minutes from November the 16th. Okay. Yeah, moved by Councilor McCabe, seconded by Ken McGinnis. And all those in favor? Okay, great. Everyone is in favor of the minutes. Okay, so now on to the reports. We have two, and the first one is 119 Pownell Street, PID 340018, and it's a discussion regarding the potential heritage significance, and I'll turn that over to Todd. Thank you.
Sure. So it's a 2.5-story front-end gable building on the west side of Pownell Street, near the intersection with Grafton Street. We have an application to demolish the building, and the property is currently vacant and without water or power hookup. So Heritage Board's being asked if there is a need to request that council impose a temporary designation on the property. If it's determined there's no need to request that council impose that designation, no action is required, and the demolition permit would be issued. The building appears to match that shown on Ruger's 1878 panoramic view, suggesting the building predates 1878. The 1863 lake map does not show the building, so it's built somewhere between 1863 and 1878. And it's understood to have originally been built as a side-by-side residential duplex. We know that a barber shop was relocated from Queen Street to 119 Pownell as early as 1934, followed by other businesses occupying the ground floors of both sides. Boland's Electronics operated for a number of years out of 121 Pownell, and in 1987, Valley Restaurant operated from 119 Pownell. This has been followed by different businesses and restaurants until quite recently, and the upper floor levels have always remained residential. The streetscape between Grafton and Richmond Streets has seen significant transformation in recent decades. In fact, in comparison to the 1917 Gold Insurance map, none of the buildings shown on the east side are extant, and 4 on the west side remain, 2 at the north end and the 2 at the south end of the block. So while residential in form, it has a history of being both residential and commercial uses. It's situated between Cook Insurance Business to the north and Family Vision Center to the south. Family Vision is a purpose-built structure built in the 1980s, which is located next to the 1960s Legion building. There's only one designated building on this block located at 93 Pownell. And although only part of the overall factors for consideration, the building evaluation score of the building is 56, which falls within the bottom third for eligibility of designation. That would be compared to a score of 62 for 267 Fitzroy Street, where designation was requested by the owner and approved, as well as a score of 56 for 231 Richmond Street, which was not recommended for designation. And again, other factors are considered. So the building is clad in vinyl siding, but it still exhibits brackets under the eaves of the front gable. This is basically the only notable remaining architectural feature of the building. And although basically intact, a site inspection noted mold is visible in the basement, and there's some evidence of frost damage in several locations near the top tier. Floor joists, where exposed, are compromised by decay, and in one location with fire damage. The interior has retained none of the original finish, and the current floor plan does not lend itself to proper exiting or fire safety. In fact, the fire department had been working with the previous owner to try to make fire egress requirements. The current owners having issues with people attempting to gain access to the building and occupying it. Again, it's believed the property could potentially be restored and contribute to the authenticity of the area, but both the building itself as well as the streetscape have little historic fabric intact, and it's suggested restoration may be more of a reconstruction, and therefore a temporary heritage designation is not being recommended.
Thank you very much, Todd, for your report. I'll just open it up to committee. Does anybody have any questions about this application? Do you want to turn that mic on? Sorry.
How long has the building been vacant?
I know it's been at least a year since there was anything in there. Do you have the exact date, Todd?
I don't. I know the current owner purchased it in January of this year, and it's been vacant since then.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, go ahead, Ken.
Is there a proposal for anything to go there, like in architectural drawings or anything?
So that's a good question. However, it doesn't fall into the decision-making process for us as a Heritage Board.
Okay.
The only thing we're here today to decide is whether or not we want to put a temporary heritage designation on this property, and it's been recommended by the staff to not do that. Unless there's something else you can add to that,
Yeah,
Todd?
no, I was just wondering if anyone put a proposal in, that's all.
Sure, yeah. Todd, is there anything
you.
else to add to that?
The current owner says potentially down the road he would explore options of expanding Cook Insurance into that property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay, so we have a recommendation from staff to not recommend that 119 Pownell Street have a temporary heritage designation.
I'll move that, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, moved by Councillor McCabe and seconded by Councillor Beck. So all those in favor? Okay, so that's unanimous. So that means that it ends here. Is that correct, Todd? It doesn't go on to council?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for that. Okay, we can go on to our next report, and that's 91 King Street, 93 King Street, 94, 98 Dorchester Street, and 100 and 102 Dorchester Street. And it's a confirmation from our September 2019 Heritage Board opinion. So over to you again, Todd.
Sorry, we have an application for 91 King Street and 100, and so this would be 100, 102 Dorchester, and these two buildings are on 91 King Street. And we've received an application to demolish those. As the chair pointed out, it was discussed here in 2019 and 2020 when there was no interest to impose a heritage designation. So just given that 3 or 4 years have elapsed since then, and our minutes say at this time, we want to bring it back to confirm Heritage Board's opinion. So in 2020, Heritage Board saw this proposal for the section on Queen Street, which includes 68 Queen Street. It's all part of the same development. And Heritage Board applauded this design because in essence, this corner building brings that corner back to 4 stories from the 2 stories of the existing building. Some work has already been undertaken in part of the development. This building has been completed, as well as the one next door. And they would be removing the 2 buildings that are currently unoccupied, and they are fearful of, they've had people again trying to live inside of them. So they would be wanting to remove 102 102 Dorchester Street, as well as the building in the rear of 91 King Street. 91 King Street also has the white building that fronts on King, as well as the brick building in the back. And this one is believed to have been constructed after the property was purchased by the family in 1950, and it, again, has been vacant for a number of years. And this is just a diagram that we'd had of the development at some point. So we are just asking Heritage Board to reconfirm the 2019 and 2020 decisions to not impose a designation on the property so we can issue those demolition permits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Todd, for that. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead, Tara.
My question is, has anything changed in the design proposals or anything changed on to impact the decision that we made in 2019? I drove by these buildings today, and I was on the board in 2019 when this decision was made, and if anything, the buildings are obviously in worse condition, and I'm wondering, is there anything that has changed from the basis of the decision made in 2019? Is there any new mitigating factors that we should be aware of?
There is no new information, unless, Todd, you can tell me otherwise, but as far as I know, there has been no new information. This is just a reconfirming because some time has lapsed.
Okay, well,
Todd, is that correct?
I'm not aware of anything new, no.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
I'm
Oh,
just
go ahead,
wondering
Emil.
why we have to reconfirm when a board made a decision. Why is it coming back here? Doesn't make sense to me.
That's an excellent question I asked prior to the meeting, so I'm going to let Todd explain to us why we have to do this again. Go ahead, Todd.
Sure. I guess in the interim, that we've noticed the minutes from 2019, 2020 said at this time. And so we're just looking ahead. If there were to be appeal on it, we had a legal opinion where there is no sort of time limit on a decision of the board at this time. So we're just wanting to ensure that it's still current. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
So
Go ahead, Emil.
we're not going to put in our proposal at this time? Because they'll come back later on.
That's right. Yeah, good point. Go ahead, Tara.
I would then, if nothing has changed in this situation, this is really a housekeeping thing from I gather, legal point of view, that I would make a motion that we stay with the decision or do you need the decision in a motion again, or do you just need the board members to say they're still comfortable with the decision? How do you want to do that?
Todd, how do you want that resolution to read?
The application we just had was pretty much the same thing. If we just make a recommendation and support that, or not a recommendation, but a recommendation, I guess, to not move forward with the designation.
I'll make a recommendation not to move forward with the designation.
Thank you, Tara. And that's moved by Tara and seconded by Ken McGinnis. So all of those folks in favor? Great, so that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, any introduction of new business? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor McCabe, seconded by Kenny McGinnis. All those in favor? Wonderful. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. You get up from Christmas morning and come down here to that meeting. Yes, there is no meeting on December 25th. There'll be an email